Hey guys, welcome back to Deep Topics. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Jeremiah.
And my name is Azariah. I'm his brother.
And
Twin brother, to be exact.
Yes, we're twins.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I mean, there's no video. Like, we won't be able to show you our faces. But this is my voice, and the other person, that'll be my brother's voice.
You'll
Anyways.
get used
to it. Just to recap, if you weren't here for the previous episode, we were talking about what is a true friend and how to become a better friend, right? And some characteristics of a true friend is that they always have your back, they're there for you, and
they spend quality time with you.
Exactly.
They give you advice.
And there's different levels of friendship, right? There are those who are acquaintances. There are those who are just there to have fun with you. And then there are others who have your back. They're like the ride and die friends, you know, like they're always with you. And then you have like some extremes that they'll always be with you, and they're kind of like your second family member, right? Yeah. And it's because they care for you so much. And we gave some advice as to how to become a better friend, like actually listen to them when they're talking to you, put your phone away, because they're telling you their life story, right? And also just talk to them, honestly. We live in a lonely world, and it definitely helps when you are able to get in contact. Anyways.
Correction. We don't live in a lonely world. We're just in a world full of lonely people.
There we go.
Because you have no excuse to be lonely. There's a ton of people. Make connections. Get off the phone.
Yeah,
sorry.
Stop playing video games. Get off the phone. And
I mean, pull out your phone once in a while. I mean, if you want to like find a cute picture once in a while. But if you're with friends, put the phone away. That's something that I absolutely struggle with. I still struggle with it to this day.
We struggle, but I think it's easier. I don't know. Just as an advice, I don't know. But just put your phone in your pocket. If you struggle with it and you're like in a public place, put it like in the car. Or if they're in your house, just put it upstairs in your room or something. Mm-hmm. And just try to go and get that connection. Anyways, then we ended off by saying the importance of choosing a good friend. Right? So there are many friends, and one characteristic of a friend is that they influence you, believe it or not. You know, surprise. Everyone's surprised here in this podcast. Because
I don't think anyone's surprised. Everyone knows that if you're with a particular friend, you're influenced by them.
Yeah, and they are influenced by you. So how do I say this? Choosing friends is a very important and serious thing, right? If you don't have things in common, probably won't work out. If you do have things in common, that's pretty good. But yet again, what if they're wearing the mask?
Yeah, good point.
I have some stories to say, but meanwhile,
let's get going.
Let's show it to my
show. Yeah. All right. So, like we said, we're going to be talking about why it's important to have a good friend in your life. So, there are several reasons for this. So, number one, if you associate with the wrong friends, things will not end that well. And so, in fact, Jermaine, let me hand you my notes. That way you can look at them once in a while. We can pass them back and forth.
Oh, cool.
One of the things that we actually, one of the things I did during my dual enrollment days, which actually it wasn't that long ago, probably 2 semesters ago, actually. Basically, I was doing a research project at one point, and it was about the dangers of violent video games. Now, you might be saying, Azariah, what do violent video games have anything to do with being a good friend?
This is the associate, and just to clarify, he's going to be talking about association with wrong people. Go ahead.
Yes, and by the way, if you're on Spotify or on YouTube, it may take a while for YouTube to be able to show this, but if you are on Spotify, I will be having a connection to my essay so that you guys can read it if you want to.
Yeah.
And especially you gamers out there, I'm not saying that what you're doing is wrong. Just consider reading it.
Yeah, and just consider the games that you're choosing, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, for example, if you're playing Qbert, that's fine. But Doom, I don't know. But that's just me. I'm more of a retro guy. Anyway, I digress. So basically, and in fact, let me ask you a question, Jared. Have you ever heard of the Columbine High School shooting?
Yeah, I think that they killed, like, a person.
Well, there's one person. I mean, in the Christian world, most of us know her as Rachel.
But I think, like, they killed, like, more people. It's crazy, like, what they did there.
They still do it to this day. I don't know why. But, of course, it's because we live in a world of sin and woe. And
hurt.
Bad things just happen
in
this case. I digress. there were two people, the two individuals who actually helped out in the shooting, who actually even caused it, were two teenagers by the name of Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold. And it's okay for us to say the names but you'll see later on. So here's the whole issue. So before they actually committed this horrendous crime, which they were never actually punished for because they later on committed suicide. Basically, here's the thing. Before they actually did the school shooting, there was something that they would do during their pastime. So after school and that kind of thing. I do not know
would play video
what
games.
School they went to. They would play video games. Yeah, and you say, "Oh, that's right. There's nothing wrong with playing video games. I play them after school." And yeah, I understand. That's a fine pastime. Just depends what you're playing. Because in this case, they were playing the video game Doom.
Right.
Now, Doom, if I remember correctly, and I talked to my dad about it because when he was a kid, he used to play it. The point of the game was you were this guy and you were shooting, I want to say it was demons. You're just shooting demons.
Yeah.
And the worst part, and the thing is this, that should already give a red flag. With the fact that you're shooting demons, you're talking about a spiritual power. So that, of course, whatever demons are on that screen, they're going to enter you. Number one. Number two, the guy that you're playing, the character that you're playing the role of, is cussing the entire time.
By the way, you won't hear any cussing in our podcast. This is supposed to be like clean content. Anyways.
Yes. For those who don't know, for you kids out there, cussing is basically you saying words that you shouldn't. So I'll just leave it at that. I do not want to ruin everything. So basically, in the end, after they played Doom, I do not know if it was right after or a day after, but in my essay said shortly after a long playing session, they took their rifles, went to the Columbine High School, and now I'm quoting myself, and started firing at the students. After finishing the course of this infamous crime, which would become the world's first documented school shooting, Harris and Klebold committed suicide.
And this is, again, first of all, when was this shooting?
When was the shooting? I don't know. Here, let me...
As he pulls out his phone...
Look it up.
By the way, don't worry. We're using our phones for research and our computers for Audacity. Yet again, here is two friends, quote, friends, and they were doing something that they enjoyed. They enjoyed playing violent video games. They became violent themselves. They killed a whole bunch of people,
okay.
And so they won't get caught. And since they were, in the digital world, in their minds, they decided to commit suicide.
Because after all, it's a digital world, and anytime you die, you come back to life, right?
Wrong.
And by the way, we are not against technology. We use technology. I myself am a web developer, and Jeremiah is a content creator for YouTube. So we use technology a lot. But basically, the massacre, that's what it says, the Columbine High School massacre, it occurred on April 20, 1999. So this is like before the millennium. So
Right.
This was the last year of the 20th century. An actual terrible crime happened. And it's a sad reality, but it happened. I don't know. It's hard for us to talk about things like that. As you can tell, both of us, we're quiet. We kind of get tense when talking about things like this.
And it's a sad thing, and I think people here need to hear about it. Like, it's important to choose good friends. Anyways.
And yeah, that's the real thing. Both of them were associating with they both were influencing each other in a bad way. They were both playing Doom. Now, I don't know who actually got sucked into it. It could be that Eric Harris was the person who played Doom and Dylan Klebold actually joined him. Or it could be the other way around. Or it could have been that both of them were playing at the same time. Whatever it was, it both influenced them to do the wrong thing.
Right.
And that is something that everyone needs to know. If you have a friend who has had a bad record in the past, be aware.
No, it doesn't mean not to make friends because... what if they make the wrong friends, right? That's why
it doesn't mean not to be friendly to them either.
Friendly,
you
right?
Can be friendly,
and try to help them out. I mean, seriously, just try to help them out. And if you want some advice, please go back to our previous episode so that we won't have to go and spend another 21 minutes explaining ourselves. Anyways,
and by the way, we're not being rude, okay? We're just using
we're all smiling, happy.
We're all happy. We're good.
If you're liking this podcast so far, feel free to press the like button and subscribe. There'll be more coming this way. Anyways, to shift gears a little bit to something happier, what are the benefits of good friendships, right? Something better. And apparently from mayoclinic.org, fancy name, it says good friends are good for your health, apparently. Friends can help you celebrate good times and provide support during bad times, and friends prevent isolation and loneliness and give you a chance to offer need, compassion to. And friends also, number one, increase your sense of belonging and purpose, and they also boost their happiness and your happiness and reduce your stress. And that's the end of that quote.
Wow. So basically, if you have a good friend, your stress is relieved. So this is kind of going back to the previous podcast we did before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like many people, they suffer from loneliness and from stress. And honestly, if you're alone, you will die sooner. But since we are social beings, it is very good for us to connect with others in a deep level. They will influence you. So in my brother's notes that I took, that there's some individuals that they will imitate others, right? Children in particular, and now this is really crucial. They imitate a lot of people. So like if you know someone that's like very young, or if you're young yourself, be very careful with the friends that you choose, because I think like young kids especially, like their brains are like sponges. That's why they're able to...
Yeah, they basically absorb anything. That's the reason why the best age that... I mean, for those parents out there, you guys probably know what I'm talking about. I've always heard this from my mom, so I'm really just repeating what she's saying because, well, you know, I'm not old enough to have kids yet. But basically, the point is that the best age group for kids is when they're all curious. And also it's kind of like the worst because that's when they kind of run away the most. But basically, the reason why they're looking everywhere is because they're absorbing everything.
They're like sponges.
They're like sponges.
And for example, like I know like when I was younger, I played the violin first, and then I played the cello. That was because my mom taught me at a very young age. And for example, like learning languages. Kids, they learn languages quicker than adults because, yet again, their brains are sponges. They're absorbing everything. They're even absorbing air. So there's that. This is why they need good influences in their lives. This is why you need good people and good friends in your life, because ultimately they shape who you are. They play a big part in your life. I guess to kind of like wrap things up, choose the friends that you... choose your friends carefully.
Yeah,
because
definitely
they
choose your friends carefully.
Will shape who you are. Of course, family, but they will really influence who you are and how you behave, and you will start to do things that they're doing, and they will imitate you. So that's why it is very important to, number one, you be a good friend, and number two, you choose good friends.
Who says that you have to be friends with your age group? That's one thing. I mean, I've known a ton of good friends who are teenagers. However, like the friendships I've had that have been the most meaningful, surprisingly, have actually been
those who are older.
The adults. Like I'm not gonna say exact names. I might pull out one name or a code name. But I have a friend, doesn't live that far from here.
Like that far meaning like 3 hours away.
Well, no. Actually, I'm not talking about
okay,
him.
never mind.
I'm talking about not
oh,
too
yeah,
far.
yeah.
He actually works as a computer programmer. In fact, more like a database developer.
Right.
But he and I, we talk a lot. Well, we used to talk a lot. I have yet to talk to him a little bit. But basically, he's been one of my mentors when it comes to the whole tech field. Because I've been learning my programming skills. In fact, it's funny. The reason why I'm actually been quiet is because I'm actually doing some programming while I'm talking to you guys.
Yeah, so if you guys are hearing like some nice ASMR, you could thank my brother for that. But of course, he doesn't have his loud mechanical keyboard, so you won't be able to have that crisp audio. Anyways.
Yeah. Anyway, but the point being, we were able to click very well, and because I'm giving input and asking him questions, and he's talking to me, and I'm learning from him, which is one of the main reasons why we were able to make.
You're learning together.
Yeah,
that's one
basically.
good aspect.
Exactly. I'm going to mention about another guy. I don't know. I'm just gonna call him by his first name, Mr. Elton. We call him Chad Bickle, and I mean, he likes to be called that. But,
right.
But here's the thing: even though he's an adult,
Mm-hmm.
we click very easily. In fact, my brother and we've actually hung out with him many times,
Countless
especially
times.
last year. I think we did it once at a men's retreat, another time at a summer camp meeting as well.
Let's say we spent a lot of time.
Let's just say we
with-
spent a lot of time
yeah.
with him. But the thing is this: our relationship with that adult friend of ours has continued to grow because we kept on hanging out with him.
He also influenced us. He's also kind of like, again, a mentor for us.
And a father figure, really.
Yeah. And, there's so many friends who are like adults or at least older than you. And this is why it's so important to people to like at least have someone who is older than you because they have lived longer.
And they have a lot more wisdom.
They have a lot more wisdom.
Now, it depends. Do not become friends with a college student who just graduated and he has a bad record.
Oh,
okay?
yeah.
Don't. I mean,
You can, but
it depends. I mean, if he's like old in his years and he's learned his lesson, sure. But
so many changes.
and by bad record, I mean like bad record in the case of crimes. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, there was that friend. And I personally have a friend. He's also a pastor. He lives in Texas. And he's my mentor. And he has greatly influenced me as to how to behave, how to cope through some behaviors. And yet again, this points back to a good friend, right? They are mentors. They always have your back. They'll always be with you. And so I guess not the more of the story, but I guess the message that we're trying to get across is choose good friends because they will influence you and they will help you. And two, be a good friend yourself.
Now, I know that some of you may be wondering, okay, I mean, especially younger individuals. So what am I supposed to look for? What am I supposed to look for when searching for a good friend? Well, I wrote a couple pointers down.
Right.
So, first of all, and it depends because remember, you're going to be imitating your friend a lot. Basically, you and your friend's going to become you, and you're going to become your friend. Basically.
Well,
Not
not
exactly
100%.
because you're going to still have your own characteristics, but really, that's one of the things. Do you really want to imitate them? So really,
Yeah.
so here's one. Check to see how they talk. Do they talk in a way that you agree with, or do they spew unacceptable language? And by that, I mean, as I said earlier,
Cussing.
If they're cussing, don't you talk to them. That's not. We don't use harsh slang. I mean, at least I don't. I will say in some emergency situations that has happened, but that's out of the topic.
Completely different
off the
episode.
topic. But basically, yes. Do they use language that you agree with? Number 2, do they know how to play safe? Are they always wanting to jump off the bridge?
Are they always the ones seeking for adventure? Now, face it, adventure is...
Nothing wrong with adventure.
There's nothing wrong with adventure, but like, are they going to lead you to a world of hurt?
Yes.
Also, are they going to be there for you? That's one thing. Like, are
also, another thing, what kind of entertainment do they consume? Because that's one big thing. Like, we're back to the violent video games.
they... Right.
So are they playing? If you're someone who doesn't enjoy, who thinks that playing violent video games is dangerous, like myself, you may not want to hang out with a friend who does that. Or perhaps they look at inappropriate content. So would you actually want to hang out with someone like that? Unless you yourself are addicted to those things, you might not want to hang out with them.
Be a better friend.
But
Get
but
help.
in this case, and in my opinion, I would say even if you are addicted to it, just stay away, and find counseling immediately.
Yeah.
Really.
Like, I mean...
especially someone like a Christian counselor can help you with that. Because the thing is this: inappropriate content has destroyed families. Number 4, make sure the individual does not have any weapons unless he uses them safe. So if you have a friend who happens to be the son of a hunter. That's okay, as long as he knows how to use it safely. As long as he's not like, oh, look at this gun, I'm gonna pretend to fire it, bang. I mean, come on. Are you really gonna have a friend? Why are you laughing?
No, I think that's just kind of random. Like I could like imagine like a 6-year-old like holding up a gun, like waving it around. It's not
well,
funny.
some kids are like that. I mean, especially with the BB gun generation. I did not know which generation that was. That must have been like
Gen Z.
Gen Z, yeah.
Oh my, and I can't.
In fact, it might even have been in the past.
My cousins, my baby cousins, are Gen Alpha. That is, man. Anyways,
that's off topic. And finally, be aware of drug users.
yes,
That is a must.
and also
Do not, in other words, in fact, not just drug users, anyone who does a crime, do not hang out with them. That is a solid warning. If you've met someone you think, oh, not be friends, like, oh, by the way, I use drugs and I steal things from houses.
And they probably don't. They probably won't say that. They'll probably like, "Hey, do you want to like take some drugs?" Or "Hey, do you want to steal things from houses?" Like that's where like the whole mask thing comes in play.
Exactly.
And it's very dangerous. So stay away from dangerous friends and look for good people, please. I mean, seriously, they will influence you correctly. They'll be your mentors. They'll be your friend, and yeah.
They'll be there for you, basically. Anyway.
Sorry for all the rambling.
So finally, a few reminders other than the podcast. If you like this podcast, subscribe and write comments. Hit the bell icon so that way you can listen to the next one. That is if you're on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, I don't know. What do you do on Spotify?
I honestly don't know. I just uploaded one. I don't use Spotify, but it's apparently a way for me. I mean, I guess you rate us. Like if you're like in a platform that you could rate us.
Also, if you think there are ways we can improve this actual podcast, like for example, if you think the way we talked, if we rambled too much, and you think that perhaps looking more at our notes and less of doing other stuff, let us know about that. I mean, or even if it's just the content just seems boring and you need something a lot deeper, or
yeah, that's a good one.
Then let us know too. This is part of the PID loop. Feedback,
please.
Yes, this is an engineering project. Okay,
it's not an engineering
not exactly,
project, but it's like same principles. Anyways, I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Azariah, and
and
you're listening to
Dude Topics.